Hello, this is Soundout here, and welcome back to the Soundcast. Today, on episode 6, I wanted to do something special. It is Christmas time. Christmas is coming up this Sunday, and I thought, as my Christmas gift to you all out there, let's talk about some lost Super Sentai toys. Now, where this topic came about was basically I got in the Super Sentai 40th Anniversary Toy History book. It was produced by Hobby Japan. It was recently released, and I ordered mine through HobbyLink Japan. And I got it in, and I was reading through it, and reading in the sense of I was looking at all the pictures because I don't read Japanese. I don't know how the language reads. I know some kanji symbols and such, but can't read it in full. But I was looking through it, and I found a lot of Sentai toys I never knew existed. And considering I do know a whole lot about Power Rangers and Super Sentai, especially in their merchandising, this is stuff I've never seen before. With a couple entries of stuff I have seen before, but I just wanted to bring them up. So, without further ado, let's start. I did a selection of images here. All these images I did take myself from the book. They're not scans. They're images taken of the book by me personally. So with that out of the way, let's start with Silver Ninja Man. Now, in the first section of the book, there's pictures of all kinds of packaging for Sentai toys, and then in here is a Silver Ninja Man from Ninja Sentai Kaku Ranger. What's odd is that they never show him again. There's several intermissions in this book that show special color variants of mecha. This one never appears, and the only information I can find about it is a post on Ranger Board by user Loose This to Talk, or I use this to talk. Sorry. And he has a bunch of Sentai Mecha color variants, and in his post he has a Chrome Gold, Matte Gold, Chrome Silver, and Matte Silver Ninja Man. There's 4 different color variants. Again, no idea how those were released. If anybody has any information on that, let me know, because I really have no clue. I've been looking it up. It's just kind of an odd thing. It's like, I don't know what they released it for. It seems very strange. Second thing, the fabled Power Sphere number 9 slash Karakuri Ball number 9, the scarf. Now, the scarf was actually a more human-sized scarf. It's really big. I don't think it can even fit inside the Power Sphere, and it's not scaled to the mecha, which is really unfortunate. But how that was released was always kind of a mystery. There was pictures of it online. There's a picture of it later in the book. Looks like it was released in some special set with Tinkujin. And it may have been a Toys R Us exclusive. It is something special. It came with also Karakuri Ball number 10, the B. So I'm not really sure where that set got released, if it was even a Japanese release and was just a overseas type thing in Hong Kong maybe. But it's same packaging. It's just red background, and it comes with Karakuri Balls 9 and 10. Kind of interesting. Still can't find anything about that. Still can't find a place to buy Karakuri Ball number 9. And then we get to intermission 01. There's a lot of cool boxes on this page, and you notice that they have like bases for like Go-Go Sentai Bokengers vehicles, which are just cardboard boxes. There was one for, looks like a Dynaman, I think. The one I want to talk about is towards the top, which has a set for Bioman that contains the mecha, the carrier for the mecha, the two one ranger-sized vehicle and all 5 ranger figures, plus a playmat. That is kind of an insane box set, because I don't see the changer in there. And I don't even know if I'm trying to remember if Bioman had a changer release or not. This is kind of nuts, because basically this is the entire toy line in one set. We've gotten big Sentai Mecha sets before, but man, I've never seen anything like this where they put all the figures, all the vehicles, all the mecha, even the carriers in there, so it's like an entire set. It's like, here is the whole toy line all at once, which is really cool. Now we move on to more things that are not just packaging variants or color variants. Let's talk about Turbo Ranger. Not Kokuso Sentai Turbo Ranger, but Turbo Ranger, the carrier vehicle for Hikari Sentai Masked Man's Great 5. This one was really odd to me. I don't know if it really counts as like a lost Sentai toy, as it is a main mecha carrier. I've never seen pictures of it before this book, and that may just be my own personal ignorance in earlier Sentai shows, but I've never seen this carrier before. The part that got me was the name Turbo Ranger. It's called the Turbo Ranger from Mask Man, and then like I think 2 or 3 years later, we get a Sentai called Turbo Ranger. So I thought for a second that, with the Turbo Ranger written on the side, it was misplaced in the book and it was in the Mask Man section instead of the Turbo Ranger section. It is a car, so I thought, oh, Turbo Ranger. And then I looked at the picture, I was like, wait a second, that's the Mask Man mecha. And I went and looked it up online. I was like, wow, I've never seen that happen with Sentai where they name a vehicle something and then a few years later they name a Sentai the same thing. It's really strange. They don't like to do that nowadays, but it's kind of interesting. Back in the 80s, they just kind of did stuff like this, and it could be a production change in between with producers changing, I think. But yeah, it's kind of strange. One season, Turbo Ranger is a vehicle. A few seasons later, Turbo Ranger is the main team. Also, Mask Man had a robo called Great Five. Not Five Man had a robo Great Five, but Mask Man. Mask Man seems kind of like a weird Sentai design-wise. Moving along, let's talk about Dyna Robo. There's an entire intermission about the color variant changes for Dyna Robo. It looks like there's 3 distinct versions of this toy. This is kind of interesting because no matter what I do online, nobody really talks about 80s Sentai Mecha, at least on English sites. And nobody talks about how many versions of Dyna Robo there is. I didn't have any clue like how many variations. And while this may just be me sounding dumb by saying this, I didn't think there was color variations on Mecha, but looks like they changed the eye color, something to do with the feet, changing design slightly. Looks like the overall chest patterns were different. It's really strange. It's like they update the paint as they re-released it throughout the year, which could be useful for some other Mecha, to be honest. But this is really cool. I just think it's also nice this book has just, here's a section on Dyna Robo's paint variations. Continuing along, here's a toy I didn't know about that not many people I don't think do know about it, because I never see it talked about, and it doesn't go for too much on the aftermarket. It is Car Ranger's Victory Dock. The basic idea behind this is it is a garage to hold Car Ranger's mecha. It can hold the main 5 vehicles plus Signalman's mecha, as well as the Vic trailer, which of course can hold the VRV vehicles. And then basically it's got like cranes and stuff so you can pick up vehicles and move them around. It's like a garage. It's a repair bay kind of thing. And it's what we see in the show when they launched their mecha. This was released in America, actually, as the Turbo Garage and came with a Larigo figure. And I think many people think that the Turbo Garage was an American creation for a toy. But it did come out in Japan. Didn't come out in any figures. Didn't come with anything but the base, and it has to be assembled, and it's quite intensive. It's really cool, though. It's really big, so if you are looking for one of those, be wary. It is gigantic because the Car Ranger mecha are not small. But yeah, it's a cool toy and something that people probably have forgotten about. Another thing that I vaguely knew that they existed, but nobody talks about them, no one has them for sale very often, and that is a set of 5 vinyl figures for Gingaman. Now, these are meant to be the Ginga Beasts before they turn into their mechanized states, so their pre-state where they're more animalistic in their original form before they get turned into mecha so they can combine. This is really cool. What I don't know, because there's no scale pictures here, and I haven't found much online about these, I don't know if these are the same scale as the mecha, which would be really cool if they were like the same size. But I'm not exactly sure. I've seen him. I think I've seen like 2 for sale in my entire time looking for them. But I think they're really cool. They don't really count as mecha because they are just animals. But it's kind of a cool thing. And when they have alternate forms of mecha like this, it's really nice when they get them released. Gingaman was distinctive that way. It doesn't look like they did anything for the rhino and the bird. I can't remember which type of bird it is, but those 2 mecha didn't look like they got vinyls released. But this is kind of cool. They did come in one set, which was pretty neat. And yeah, that's a thing nobody really talks about. There was no domestic release of them, even though there easily could have been, because Lost Galaxy's toy line was very, very small in terms of new product, and they ended up reusing a lot of old products. Surprised they didn't just release this to fill a gap in the line. Now here's a little interesting detail. The Time Rangers had a Time Flyer set, which a lot of people do mention, and there's plenty of videos of it online. I have one now. It's a set that has a miniature Time Flyer that becomes the gun for Time Robo Beta, and it has 5 mini Time Rangers that can fit inside the Time vehicles. Um, the thing I didn't know was that the Japanese release of the Quantosaurus Rex Megazord, known as the V-Rex, did come with a minifigure of Time Fire. The American release did not, even though it left the peg there for it. But as far as I can tell, they never released the Time Fire minifigure separately. So if you're looking for that minifigure, you're going to be stuck getting the Japanese version. But he basically stands on the V-Rex, which is cool. But yeah, it's something that I don't see brought up very often. People are like, "Oh, what's the difference between a Q-Rex and a V-Rex?" And nobody brings up the minifigure. So really interesting. Basically, let's see. What else do we got? Abba Ranger. Now, Abba Ranger's biggest point of contention with its toy line was that it had a Brachio released, but it was scaled down. And this is very, very common knowledge. There was a Brachio in Japan only, but it was scaled down, had miniature dinosaurs, much like the Zenith Carrier Zord. Can't remember the Japanese name right now, where it had scaled down vehicles. Um, and so the thing was that people were like, well, we can't fit the actual mecha in it, so what's the point? They did release a giant cardboard version, and I'm not really sure why it shows in the book. It shows the cardboard version as holding the green versions of the mecha, and I think it might have come with those maybe as like a papercraft thing. But there's a giant cardboard version out there. But the interesting part about this book is it shows a prototype, an unreleased prototype for a deluxe Brachio, and this Brachiosaurus has to have been really tall. I was looking at the measurements. This thing would have been about 2 feet tall from its feet to its head, and super wide and super heavy. The Abba Ranger mecha are really huge. They're some of the largest individual mecha I've seen ever, and I wish they would have scaled them down so this could happen. But they also had the motorized features, so I understand scaling down would have been practical. This thing would have been cool if it had been released, but I'm kind of glad it didn't because I would want to get it, and the shipping out of Japan would just be absolutely nuts. I think they realized that releasing something that big was just not going to work in any market, and they just scrapped it and went with the scaled down version, which I think is okay. It would have been really cool to see this released. It looks super awesome. I kind of sad it didn't come out, but that's kind of neat. It's literally a lost Sentai toy as it never was released, but it did get recorded here in the Super Sentai Toy History. So let's see. That's about it. I think everything else is recent enough that people still remember it. Stuff like the Deluxe Jewland base, I think, would kind of fall in this category maybe a few years later, but for now it's pretty relatively common. So overall, that's what I found in the Super Sentai Toy History that was stuff I'd never heard of before, never saw, never see for sale. I'm constantly looking for Sentai stuff online, so I see a lot of this. So when I see stuff that I don't know about, it really fascinates me. So what are your thoughts on some of these in the comments below? This week, I want to ask you guys a question. Which rare Super Sentai toy would you like to track down and would you like to own? Personally, for me, I would really like to own a Live Robo, or a Super Live Robo specifically. I really love Live Rangers Mecha and Live Rangers. Excuse me. I really loved Live Man's Mecha because I really do like Live Man as a series. And I'd love to own a Super Live Robo, but the cost is just too high for me. But let me know in the comments below what rare Sentai toy you would like to own. I'm curious to see what your responses are. If you like this video, make sure to give it a like. And if you want to hear more videos from my channel, including Super Sentai Power Ranger toy reviews, as well as new episodes of the Soundcast coming out every Friday, be sure to hit the subscribe button and also hit the little bell so you get a notification every time I upload a video. And until next time, this is Soundout saying goodbye and Merry Christmas.